This is Geoff Norcott on Times Radio, and that music should tell you that it is the section of the show which is Man Friday. Every Friday at this time, we are talking all things male, and of course, women are very welcome. It's not like the Yorkie Bar. It's not for girls. Okay, double negative there. And this week, I'm joined by not one but two male guests. Kenny Mammarella-D'Cruz, aka the Man Whisperer. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the show. A regular now, a mainstay. Get a lot of nice feedback when you're on, Kenny. And we got Billy McGranahan, who is founder of Dad's House, which is a support group offering, among other things, legal advice for single dads. Does that cover, Billy, the breadth of what you do?
I'll get all within that, Geoff. We do tons of stuff. Yeah, we do family law, food banks, dad's yoga, guitar sessions, breakfast clubs, and Dad's Table every Thursday evening, where a group of dads get together, different stages of family breakdown, you know, and they support each other. And there's a thing that men don't talk, but yeah, we do.
well, of course. So the idea being that it's when men find themselves in difficult situations in relation to the family, either where their partner's left or bereavement. So it's all of those kind of situations, navigating the breakup of families.
Absolutely. I mean, there's 500,000 single dads in the UK who are the main carers. And
that number would surprise people, I would think. I mean, I think the overall number of single-parent households is about 2 million?
Just under 3 million.
Just under 3 million. But I think that would be a higher percentage than most people would imagine.
Absolutely. But I reckon there's an extra million on that, because we get a lot of dads who are the main carers, but the former partners still claim the child benefit and some other the benefits that you are entitled to when you are a single parent. So it's I would put definitely an extra million within the UK.
Interesting. Yeah. You know? I mean, Billy, you are a nice guy. You're doing nice things, and which dovetails nicely with Kenny's theme for this week, which we're going to try and merge together. So what is your theme this week, Kenny?
My theme this week, who knows where we're going to go. I think the nice guy is really important. And, you know, people go, there's fight, flight, freeze and fawn. Fawning's the nice guy.
Right.
I'll be nice. We'll all be nice. No boundaries. It's a way of surviving.
Okay.
It comes from fear, and it's like some people will, it's like manipulate a situation so they're safe by second-guessing what people want and giving it to them. So that way, I'm not going to be attacked, I'm not going to be humiliated, I'll second-guess, I'll give you what you want, and we're all cool together.
Are there enough nice guys?
Far too many, if you ask me.
So it's interesting
because it's not sexy.
Well, this is the point. What is the phrase? The producer Tim said to me earlier, "Is it nice guys finish last?" That was a baseball phrase. So I'm guessing that you don't subscribe to that.
Oh. Well, hey, that's a different kettle of fish altogether. Nice guys will probably say thank you at the end, or maybe sorry.
At the end of what, Kenny? I feel like we've gone off topic here. I'm going to anchor it back to Billy over here. Now, obviously, the origin story of how you got into this, Billy, was just remind us of how you found yourself as the main caregiver.
Yeah, Sam's mum, my son, went to Edinburgh for 3 days and never come back. I didn't know what to do.
How old were you?
I was 25.
Right.
I was working in a bar in Chelsea and lost my job, lost my flat. Couldn't cook. I was useless, you know, and I could barely change a nappy. You know, I was old school dad. I was out earning the money, and she was at home with the baby, you know. So turned out it was postnatal depression Sam's mum had. And
what year was this?
That would have been 89.
89. So imagine that, you know, that situation even more unusual then, and even less support on offer, I'd imagine.
There was absolutely nothing. And also, I couldn't ask anyone for help in case people thought I was a failure. And that's where the men's pride comes in, and not knowing what to do, where to go. And I did think about social services, you know. I couldn't go back to Scotland. My mother would have killed me.
I mean, Kenny, you run your online men's groups every day since the pandemic. How common is Billy's situation here, where men perhaps unexpectedly find themselves as the sole or main caregiver?
It's so common that we've put on Dad Speak groups. I think it's every fortnight, specifically to meet these situations. I wish I knew about you and your organisation. This is so valuable because men are on their own. And as you say, it's like men do want to speak, but they're shame.
Yeah.
They don't want to be blamed. They don't want to be humiliated. They don't want social services to be around in case they lose their children. And this is emotional thinking rather than logical thinking. So it's like, I better hold it together and put on a good show just to keep the peace. It's like heavy.
Absolutely. And I think the trouble is there's not a lot of places that dads can go. You know, they can go to the child centres, and they're all mums.
Yeah.
You go to the sandpit, which I spent 7 years hard labour on a Saturday and Sunday morning, you know, sitting like Billy No Mates, and it was a horrible experience. And you see dads in the parks every weekend, and it's getting better. I think it's generational. I mean, I'm a wee bit older than you, Kenny.
Only 2 years.
But I kind of guess younger dads are more hands-on than ever before.
And it's socially acceptable. Younger dads are allowed to love their children.
Yeah.
In the old days, it was almost like, that's embarrassing, that's not right, what are you doing? You should be working, you should be more of a bloke.
And Billy, I'm just interested because one of the things that I've noticed from when I was a teacher is that I was aware of children that were being brought up by their dads, principally. And those kids were always really good kids. And there are some studies showing that the outcomes are very good when children, both boys and girls, are brought up by their dads. Is it because they realise perhaps that he needs a bit of help and they step up? And that is a negative stereotype about men. I hold my hands up to that. Do they kind of step up and take responsibility themselves?
Absolutely. And I mean, I'll get 500 calls a week from dads. But we take over between 5,000 and 7,000 calls a year.
Wow.
And the dads who I know, who are the main carers, who come into dad's house for guitar lessons, for the food bank and breakfast clubs, and we do lunch clubs as well. The kids are brilliant, and they have a sense of responsibility that it's a man thing. And it really is. And I see it all the time, everywhere I go. You don't see a lot of kids being mischievous when they've got their dads, you know.
It's interesting, yeah.
It's a different game for them, you know, because they know they can be cheeky, but they can't be not nice.
They need to give him. Give him a hand. I mean, Kenny, it's interesting here. I suppose we would imagine instinctively that women perhaps offer more natural cooperative support to each other as a group when they find themselves in that situation.
Totally.
How badly does this when this happens to a man in his life? How can this be exacerbated by the issue of loneliness that we see, especially among men?
The isolation is just like men don't know where to go. But when they find another male to hang out with and talk, then it's like, okay, we can go to the park together. They can play together. What I've found is women offer emotional regulation, where what men offer is a regulation of anger, boundaries, a kind of safety. So there is somewhere to push against and to be met. And that's fundamentally important.
So you mean as a father figure?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. And men together, it's like, it's tragic how few men have friends. But for a male having friends, it's like, this is a brilliant role model for the boys because they're allowed to have friends. It's not weird. Very often men are stuck with their kids' best friends' parents. So it's like the parents hang out together rather than the men. The women are great with their social situations, as you said. Men need to remember, like, these are my mates, where do they live? I want to hang out with them and bring my children so they can see me being me and being playful and being respectful and follow. People will become a product of their environment. So it's like, follow the environment, become a product of something good.
I'm speaking to Kenny Mammarella-D'Cruz, the Man Whisperer, and Billy McGranahan, who is founder of Dad's House, which is a support group offering legal advice and many other things for single dads. I mean, I suppose that is, potentially an issue, Billy, have you found, certainly in the, all right, put it another way, I've been involved in the area of like men's wellness charities and so on. There is resistance. I've faced resistance. Did it seem incongruous to people back in the late 80s and early 90s? Did you get pushback off men and women who were quite threatened by this area?
Yeah, absolutely, and the government as well. You know, they didn't want to know. And everybody thought I was mad setting up Dad's house. You know, I'd never ran a charity before. I mean, what I knew about running a charity, I could write on the back of a stamp.
What was it that made you, so how far into being a single dad did you decide to set up the charity?
15 years.
Right, so you'd built up the experience.
Yeah. And when I decided, I researched on homelessness for dads going through family breakdown, because at my age, getting older, a lot of my friends ended up like separating from their former partners, and some of them weren't allowed to see their children. And I've never experienced that before, you know, so I'm thinking, why? And well, they haven't got anybody to live, or they're living in shared accommodation, and when they're in shared accommodation, they don't know who else is living with them, so the partners wouldn't allow the children there. So I ended up babysitting for a good friend of mine every weekend for years, so his son could stay with my son Sam, and I won't say his name, and that was the only way that I could see his son, you know, because I got on like a house on fire with his ex anyway, you know, because that's. I didn't take sides, you know, he says and she says. So that was the kind of, the seeds were sown then, Geoff, you know, and then the more I got into it, the more research that I did on homelessness and men, staggering, absolutely staggering.
Well, we know the stats, men are disproportionately more likely to not have a fixed abode.
Yeah, absolutely, and it gets worse going through family breakdown, and it gets worse the older you get as well, because you built up that relationship with your partner and your friends. 9 times out of 10, dads end up lonely, anxious. That's where Dad's table kicks in, Kenny, as well.
How does that work? How does the Dad's table work?
Well, Dad's table, we've got a swear box in the middle of the table. There's no swearing. There's no misogyny. It's Dad's.
So not moaning about your exes?
No, because it's about them, you know, and everyone's got an ex, you know, but it's about the children. How can we help you to be better and get better prepared when you're seeing the kids?
That sounds so clean
and it's
and
absolutely
healthy.
amazing.
Good on you.
And what I said earlier, dads do talk.
Yeah.
We do cry and we do laugh. You know, it's not all doom and gloom.
Yeah.
You know, there's and some brilliant dads out there, some really nice dads.
Well, no, we've got to do the good press. And just before I let you go, is Kenny, the Man Whisperer, just remind us about your online sessions for men that want to chat and get their feelings out there.
Every weekday, 12:30 to 1:30, weekends 10:30 to 11:30, mensgroups.co.uk, and it's free for the first month, and cheapest chips like 20 quid a month or something.
There you go. It'd be a good investment. If you're struggling, if you just want to share things, if you just want to unburden yourself, then do consider that. And Billy, the founder of Dad's House, just if there's blokes out there that are struggling, that their families are breaking down or they're left holding the baby, what would be your first bit of advice for them?
Speak to your friend, you know, get some advice, or call Dad's House. Have a look at dadshouse.org.uk.
Okay, I'll just tell you, you might like to hear this. He's just had a message from John, who says, lovely stuff. As a single dad, this is wonderful, makes me feel very emotional. Thank you, John. So thank you both for creating that moment for John there.